What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. Today we're going to be reviewing this guy. This is the Qanba Titan, a $225 arcade stick that works with the PS5, PS4, and PC. Today I'm going to be putting it on the table and telling you guys if I think it's worth it. Now that we got the controller on the table, let's take a look around it here. The controller is 15.1 inches wide, 8.7 inches deep, and 4.6 inches up off the table. This is a Qanba JLF lever that is unusually mounted a bit further away from the buttons than normal. It's about 3.5 inches away from the nearest button. Usually you see about 2 to 2.5 inches in most other arcade sticks. These are Qanba OBSF buttons in a Vuelich style layout, and we've got a full suite of controls up top here. This is an option button, PlayStation button, L3, turbo. This is the create button, mute, R3, and then we've got a selector switch to switch the joystick control from D-pad to left stick to right stick. We got PS5, PS4, and PC mode selector here, and we got a tournament lockout switch as well as a PlayStation pad. Much like the Drone 2, I was initially concerned about how close this pad is to the action buttons, but because it's got a tournament switch here, if you are concerned about hitting during play, then you can just switch it on and not have to worry about it at all. Looking around to the top of the controller, we have a 3.5mm headset jack, and the microphone on that can be muted with this mute button here. On the side here, we do have a plastic-coated, non-removable 9-foot USB cable. There's a little bit of a storage tray similar to the Drone 2 where you kind of ball up your cable here and stick it into the storage compartment. It's a convenient design, but, I would, again, like to see a removable cable. In fact, when this controller arrived, you can see this cable was kind of being crushed in shipping and now kind of has a permanent kink in it. On the back of the controller, we have a huge rubber pad that really covers the entire bottom of the controller. We have a access port to get to the bottom of the joystick, so you can stick a flathead screwdriver on that and either tighten or remove the ball top. Here's a cool little trick that I read in the comments of a previous video. You can actually use this joystick access port cover as a flathead to remove or tighten your ball top. And we also have 6 Phillips head screws to take the cover off of the back of the controller here. Inside of the controller on the bottom cover, you can see there is a heavy steel plate to just give it some added weight and stability. And inside of the controller, you can see another steel plate that the joystick is actually mounted to. It feels very firm on there. The buttons are not mounted to the metal plate. They're mounted to the plastic, and there is a slightly wider hole cut out for the buttons, but only for kind of the push-in buttons. If you were to use screw-in type buttons, the buttons would kind of screw onto the metal plate. There is a proprietary PCB up here with the cable attached. It is nice that the wires are color-coded, so if you remove them all, just take a picture of where they all go, and it should be easy to figure out how to put it all back together if you removed all the buttons at once. But since there's no acrylic plate or anything, it doesn't seem necessary to ever remove all the buttons all at once. You can just do one at a time and just take the wires off, put them back on, and always know exactly where they go. All right, now that we've taken a look around the stick, what do I like and what would I like to see improved? Well, let's start with the lever placement. This is unusual that it's about 3.5 inches away from the action buttons over here. Standard placement generally has it closer, probably around here, to 2 and 2.5 inches. It feels a bit weird at first, frankly, but after a bit of play, I completely forgot about it altogether. It's comfortable, especially in my lap, and the lever isn't close enough to the edge of the controller that my hand was touching the edge. I don't think I prefer it, but I also don't hate it. I think it's frankly kind of cool because it offers another option to folks who might actually dig it. Just not me, though. The top deck is supported by a steel panel that offers support for the buttons and the lever. It feels solid, and there's very little flex to the deck. The steel plate is cut a bit wider than the buttons, so they are only mounted to the plastic, giving them a solid feel, but they do make kind of a higher pitched sound than with an acrylic top panel. I would replace the Qanba OBSF buttons for quieter buttons in the future if this were to become my new everyday stick, because I don't really prefer the sound of these buttons with this stick like I do with the Obsidian 2, for instance. One major problem I have with this particular Titan is the bottom. Initially, I was excited to see this rubber pad that completely covered the bottom, but that was short-lived because once I sat it on the table, I realized that this one is bowed outward in the middle. I'm sure this isn't the most scientific of tests, but there you can see pretty clearly under both sides, there is a pretty significant gap. If I squeeze one side, it gets bigger on the other. If I squeeze on the other, it gets bigger. So when I sit it on a flat surface, the only part of the controller that's touching is right in the middle, making it kind of rock back and forth. Not a huge problem in lap play, but on a table, this thing moves around a lot. It does not feel solidly set to the table. And when I'm doing like a lot of controller motions, it'll spin quite a bit, or it'll just kind of start moving around the table. In lap play, this is no problem. On a table, I consider this to be almost unusable because it just moves around like way too much. I did speak to Qanba support about this, and I will be receiving a replacement Titan arcade stick. I hope this is only a problem with this one single unit, but once I get a replacement, I will update the description below to let you know if this problem persists on the new one as well. Next, the cable. Again, like Qanba's other sticks, it is a plastic-covered, non-removable cable, and I just don't like that for the price of this stick. I do like the storage of the cable. It's quick and it's convenient, but for the price, I really think it should be a built-in USB port and a removable cable. Look, winding up the cable and crushing it into the stick in the cable storage compartment is definitely going to cause wear over time. If it was just a regular USB cable that you could replace at any electronics store, it'd be a non-issue, but because it's attached, it feels like it's like this doomsday clock for the end of this controller's lifetime. All right, so let's wrap this up. I do like this controller. It's fine, but it just feels overpriced, especially compared to what Qanba was offering for their PS4 compatible line of controllers. This is $25 more than the original Qanba Obsidian used to retail for. This is the third Qanba controller I've reviewed this year, all of them being the new for 2023 PS5 compatible sticks, and this one impresses, frankly, the least. The Drone 2 was overpriced, but still manages to be the cheapest PS5 stick currently available. The Obsidian 2 is overpriced, but feels like a tournament-ready controller. The Titan just feels overpriced. Its only notable feature is that it's got a wider layout than usual, and for that, you pay $25 more than the original Obsidian. That value just doesn't feel right. But there just aren't that many options yet for the PS5 licensed sticks. Hopefully, with time, we see more variety from Qanba and other manufacturers like Hori or even Victrix. But for now, if you like the features and the design of the Qanba Titan, and the price isn't too galling, give it a shot. You might like it. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.